I think it's 7 o'clock, and good evening, and welcome District 7. This is the 7th of 8 community meetings provided for under the charter, in which we take questions from the individual district. Tonight's District 7. The last one will be a week from now, District 2, and we will be done for 2020. If you have not seen one of these or been to one of these, usually we do them in person, which is a way I'd much prefer to be doing it. But I'll do a short presentation about things that are going on in District 7 and what we have coming up. And then today you're going to get a chance to hear from the new director of DDOT, Mikkel Oglesby, who's here, came here from Fort Lauderdale, and is really building this bus system up into a first-class system. And so what we do each week is I do an initial presentation, then you get a chance to meet one of our department heads who talks about what they are doing. We will start where we're always going to start, and that's COVID-19. And Detroit's performance continues to be nothing short of outstanding. In fact, I'm going to get a chance to see Dr. Birx tomorrow, the president's advisor, who's coming by to visit to talk about this. And we've had a couple of conversations already about the extraordinary success Detroit has had. We went up faster than anybody in the country, and we dropped down faster than anybody in the country, and it's been purely because the people of this city care for each other enough to commit to the mask and to commit to the social distancing, and that's continuing. We, this week, have been honoring the 1,500 we've lost. Rochelle Riley just deserves enormous credit. And thank you to Ford Motor Company and TCF and United Way and all of our sponsors. But if you haven't been out to Belle Isle to see it, it'll still be there tomorrow. But it's extremely powerful to drive through, and it gives you a sense of the loss this community has suffered. And it's been an opportunity for a lot of folks who never really did get to say goodbye to be with a lot of other members of this community who had the same experience. Very, very powerful, and it's getting all kinds of national attention now as the first memorial in the country. But this is what we do in the city of Detroit. We care about each other, and we support each other in times of loss. And I went from that memorial over to the memorial service for Sergeant Savad Johnson, who died a week ago, Friday, jumping into the Detroit River. Just happened to be over on Belle Isle with his daughter on an off day. And when 3 girls were in danger of drowning, without regard to his own life, he jumped in, swam out to save them. The girls, all between the boaters and the swimmers, were saved with life preservers. But Sergeant Johnson didn't make it back. And we'll always remember his contribution. And that picture there is his brother, and who was also a firefighter, as was his father, a family of service. As far as COVID, the trends in this country still continue to be bad. This is what's happening. The hot spots are in red. The orange is the next hottest. Blue is where it's cooler, but you can see Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, Alabama, they didn't take this thing seriously. And the infections spread, and they are spreading now up through the Midwest. Ohio, which at one point was the lowest in the country, has already passed Michigan because it is spreading north, and we're seeing more cases in Michigan. Detroit still is very good. In fact, this is the Detroit map, and this map shows the red are the areas of highest increase, orange next highest, yellow isn't changing, and blue is dropping. And as you can see, the city of Detroit, as we have been for the last 3 months, is in that blue category. The rate of infection in Detroit is lower than the state as a whole, and we have to keep it that way. But we still have too many block parties, too many gatherings with large numbers of people without the masks. We're still a few months away from beating this thing once and for all, but we have to keep each other healthy, so let's stick with the masks, let's stick with the social distancing. If you look at what's happening in the hospitals, and this is what I look at every day, in April it was unbelievable, 800 COVID patients in hospitals, 259 were on ventilators. in danger of dying any day, and you were getting 126 new cases a day. By July, this is what the national commentators have talked about, is Detroit just dropped dramatically. And in August, we're up just a little bit. And those trends, we got to keep right where they are. We can't do this. I'm told I have a second microphone that's having a sound effect. Is that better? Okay. All right. So we're doing all right, but we can't let up. And if you want a test, you can get one tomorrow. Just call for an appointment. You don't need a prescription. Don't need any money. We will get you in, and we will get you tested. I want to talk about District 7, because we are now in the stage in the city that we've been able to move from beyond what's happening in downtown and midtown and really make a commitment to what's happening in the neighborhoods. And so we're picking different neighborhoods, different commercial districts to try to build them up. And Zussman Park, that people in this community are familiar with, is about to be rebuilt along Davison with picnic shelters and basketball courts. It'll be a real anchor for that neighborhood. And this wall at the east end of the park is going to be made into a beautiful mural by our artist Mario Moore, whose grandmother is still in the neighborhood. We have Detroiters redesigning our open spaces for Detroiters. Stein Park looked like that, and we have rebuilt it to look like that. Rouge Park, we're making huge investments in. We're putting in a splash pad over there. We're building picnic shelters and play areas, and we're just going to continue to add to these areas. But in the neighborhoods, we have failed for decades to get rid of blight. Our children have grown up thinking it is normal to go past vacant houses, to be afraid of the house next door, to be worried about the drug dealer or the squatter that's moved in, or that the house next door is going to catch fire and spread to our house. And Mayor Jerry Cavanaugh and the City Council promised in 1965 that they would get rid of the vacant house menace. And here we are, decades later. We've made some progress. We were very fortunate that President Obama supported us with $265 million in federal funds. You've seen the impact. 21,000 houses down in 6 years. And so it matters to the people who live in that neighborhood. And so you can see this house on Piedmont, where the family had to live next door to that burned out house, and we knocked it down. They were able to buy the side lot and expand their own yard. So instead of an eyesore, they have an area for their family. Can you imagine being the families who lived on both sides of this house on Morley? But we, again, took it out, sold the side lot to the neighbors, and it just changes the entire neighborhood. Every single one of these 21,000. Here's a street where the whole block looked like this. You've seen these kinds of blocks in Detroit, and here's what it looked like when it was done. We have dramatically transformed a lot of neighborhoods with the 21,000 demolitions that we have completed. But we've got 14,000 to go. We're more than halfway there. We're about 60% of the way home. Every one of those red dots is an abandoned house that has to come down, that can't be salvaged, and a lot of them are in District 7. In fact, 2,100 of them are in District 7. This is an area of this city that will benefit enormously from Proposal N, and I'm glad City Council placed Proposal N on the ballot on November 3rd, because I don't believe that children in District 7 should keep having to live in these neighborhoods. But here's the thing that Proposal N does that I am most proud of. It's going to save every house that we can save. We have 8,000 abandoned houses in this city today that can be saved. You all remember what happened if you were here in 2009 and 2010. When the mortgage market collapsed and people cleared out of this town, a lot of people left perfectly good houses. The mortgages were too high. And so they walked away from houses that in any other city would have been saved. All of these pictures of these houses here are land bank houses for sale right now. And in District 7, we have 1,200 vacant houses that we can save. Again, one of the largest numbers in the city of Detroit. What would it mean to this part of the community if you had 1,200 more families in your neighborhoods? What would it mean to the pressure on housing? People are afraid I'm going to be pushed out of my house. If you have 1,200 more houses that are being occupied, there's room for everybody. Folks can move in and folks can stay. And people who are renters can buy a house and own their own house. So here's what we have done with Proposal N. And this is going to be your choice on November 3rd. It's your money, but we're proposing to sell $250 million in bonds. And you're going to get a chance to decide. Are the neighborhoods as they are today good enough? Or do we think the people of Detroit deserve something better? So here's our first priority. All 8,000 houses that can be rehabbed, we're going to save those first. That will be the first money we spend. We are going to strongly secure the outside of every house that needs it. No more houses coming apart because of neglect. Then we're going to take another 8,000 houses that can't be saved and knock them down. So we'll balance the two strategies. We're going to run the program through the city of Detroit. You've all read the stories. We've had the issues over the year. When the feds gave us the $265 million, they made a rule that I know they think was a mistake, but they said cities across the country couldn't do it. You had to do it through separate authorities. Somehow they had an idea that was going to be more efficient. And so we had a land bank that had only 4 employees, and we had to put it in charge by federal rules of the $265 million. They got the houses down, but not without drama. Now all the federal money's gone. Land bank is not in the demolition business. Anybody brings up a land bank and demolition, don't even pay any attention to them. They're out of the business. This is back now under the city of Detroit, under the city procurement department, overseen by city council. We have had no issues. Here's the other thing. With Detroit bond money, we can give preference to Detroit companies. When you're using federal money, the feds won't let you give preference to your local companies. They consider it the tax dollars of everybody in the country. But when we use our own funds, we can put the money into our own companies, build wealth among Detroiters, and expand the jobs here. And we can do something else. We can require these companies to hire 51% of Detroiters to do the work on the renovations and the demolitions, or pay into a fund to train Detroiters to make sure that Detroiters are being put to work, and it'll be no increase in your taxes. You will not pay $1 more in taxes if Proposal N passes than you are paying today, and I'll show you why in a minute. So this is what I love. I drive the neighborhoods, I got my maps, but this is what we've done several thousand times already. This house on Brace can't be saved, right? Here's how it looks today. These are the kinds of houses people walked away from. Can you imagine somebody walked away from that house on Fullerton? But it's been restored and a family lives there today. This house on Greenview has to be demolished, right? Here's how it looks today. We can save these houses. This one looks like it's got to be knocked down for sure. Here's the family that lives there today. 8,000 more times we can renovate houses and move families in if we can pass Proposal N. But if we don't, here's what we see. And you've all seen this. A house, the week the neighbors move out of the house and it's first vacant, it can be saved. But a month later, 6 months later, a year later, what happens? The rain gets into holes in the roof. A squatter comes in. A drug dealer moves in. Somebody lights it on fire. And every year, 1,000 houses that could have been saved and could have been homes for families in this community deteriorate to the point that they have to be demolished. So, for example, this house in Grayfield looked like this in November of 2018. 6 months later, burned out and unsalvageable. This house on North Martindale, perfectly good house, right? You could move into that if we had moved in and secured it. And here today, it's a total loss. This house on Pinehurst, okay, it was abandoned, but it could have been saved. And this is the way it looks today. 1,000 times a year, we are losing a good house in this city because of neglect. And that's what we want to fix. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to those 8,000 houses. We know the addresses of every one of them. We've been in every one of these houses. We've boarded them up. You've seen us in the neighborhood boarding them. We know which ones can be saved. The first thing we do is we're going to clean them out. You know what's in these houses, in these backyards. But we're going to clean them out till they look like that, all 8,000 of them. And then right now, we're protecting these houses with plywood, and that was a step forward. The board-up program was a good thing, but we have all seen cases where somebody pulled the plywood off and moved into the house. They pulled the plywood off, and they're dealing drugs out of the house. the plywood is not the level of security we need to save a house. And so what we're going to do is we are going to take these houses and secure them with serious protection, Clearview, which is basically a bulletproof glass material to seal up the doors and the windows, or the steel system that you can put on to close up the doors and the windows. We are going to secure these houses so that nobody can get into them. And now people can go in and put a furnace in. They can go in and put work in and not worry that it's going to be stripped back out. And we're going to secure the roofs so that you don't put plaster inside and have the rain come in and destroy it. This is what we're going to do first. And we're going to partner with community groups, ministers, neighbors to be able to take houses in your own neighborhoods. And we're working with City Council right now on a program for preference for the neighbors to be able to buy the house. 70% of the houses bought from the land bank are bought by Detroiters. The great majority are bought by renters who want to be homeowners. And that's what we want. This city was once one of the highest percentages of cities in America of home ownership. We've lost that in the last 20 or 30 years. We'd like to take these houses and use them as a basis to rebuild Detroit's tradition of home ownership. Now, how can we do this without raising taxes? Well, it was not really conceivable 6 years ago, but since we left bankruptcy in 2014 and everybody thought we had no future, we've had 7 bond rating upgrades. That's how well we've managed our finances. I don't think there's another city in the country with 7 bond rating upgrades in the last 6 years. And even when COVID hit and we got hammered with a deficit, the speed with which City Council moved to adopt the plan to cut the budget has caused Standard & Poor's, a national rating agency, to cite Detroit as a national model for dealing honestly with your budget deficits. We've already paid down $180 million in principal since we left bankruptcy. And that puts us in a position now that because we paid down that debt, we can sell the $250 million in bonds and your taxes won't go up. It's very much like if you refinanced your house and redid your kitchen, but you spread out your payments over more years. You could do it without your mortgage going up. That's what we're proposing here. We're going to spread out the payments over more years, but your taxes will not go up next year or the year after from where they are now. And so this is a decision for you to make. It's your money. And you get to decide November 3rd, do I believe there is a better place to invest than in our neighborhoods to create an environment for our children where they're safe, or is the neighborhoods the way they are good enough for me? And that's the decision you get to make on November 3rd. Our Detroit companies are going to be given preference because we're going to be able to use the city rules. And so if you are a company headquartered in Detroit, based in Detroit, or you hired 51% Detroiters, under city ordinance, you get bonus points on a bid. You get an advantage from people outside the city. You still have to win the bid, but if it's close, the bonuses will tilt it toward you. And so what happened this time is something I've never seen. 20 black Detroit contractors came together as a coalition. They went to City Council and they demanded that Proposal N go on the ballot because this is an opportunity to build black wealth, to use the funds of Detroiters to rebuild the neighborhoods of Detroiters by companies who are Detroiters. And the Detroit contractors are leading this campaign. And they have agreed to the executive order to hire 51% Detroiters. So it'll be Detroiters working for the Detroit companies, rebuilding your neighborhoods. And Detroit at Work, which is doing such an outstanding job, will be running training programs. For the average demolition, there's 15 different jobs involved in one demolition. Everything from the initial inspection, to taking out the asbestos, to knocking down the house, to hauling in the dirt, to filling the dirt, to planting the grass. 15 positions. Most of them are positions that if you have a high school degree, you can be trained to do, and they're good paying jobs. We will be running a training program through Detroit at Work so Detroiters can fill these jobs as we expand this program. And so what we're asking now is you have a decision. For the last 40 or 50 years, we've been having 1,000 houses a year go from being salvageable to being burned out. It's why the city has never caught up to the blight problem. And we're saying, what if we do this? What if we take a house like that looks like it can't be saved and turn it into a house like that? And if we did that 8,000 times, how much different would the city of Detroit be? And so I hope you'll read all the literature and you'll make a decision on November 3rd that is the right decision for your neighborhood. At this point, you're going to get a real treat. We have a new DDOT director. We did a national search. Dan Dirks, our last director, we brought in from Louisville, who just did an outstanding job. He retired, and we did a national search. And I don't have to tell anybody in the city what the bus system was like. When I came in, a third of the buses in the fleet were busted in the garages and weren't on the streets. There's no point in looking at a schedule because the buses showed up whenever they thought they should show up. We have now dramatically expanded the number of buses on the road. We've expanded the cleanliness of the bus, the reliability of the bus, and now we're to the point where we could go recruit a top national candidate. So we searched the country, and America's rising star in transit was down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I recruited him in a warm month, and I told him Michigan is like that 12 months a year. And so he has started, and it's starting to cool off a little bit, and I guess he's going to experience snow in the not-too-distant future. I know he'll keep the buses on the road, but he's doing an absolutely outstanding job. So for many of you, for the first time, you get a chance here now to welcome Mikkel Oglesby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a treat to be here, and for those that aren't sure, I did come here from Florida, but I also used to live in Boston, so I'm familiar with the snow. So I think I'm going to be all right. But I did fall for that old it's warm trick. We'll get past that. So anyway, I'm really excited to be here. I have a lot to kind of go over. I'm going to go over it quickly. Hopefully, I'll be able to get in front of everybody again and have a discussion down the road about all the great things that have been done. In a short period of time, I've been here 4 months. I've been able to get through a lot of stuff. So just a little quick ditty about myself. So you know, I'm here to oversee DDOT, the People Mover, mobility, and anything else that the mayor thinks we need to move forward with from a financial standpoint, financial and from a transit standpoint moving forward. I've been in transit for quite some time with multimodal experience. I just wanted to put this up because I want people to know that I'm about management by walking around, keeping your finger on the pulse. I think that's very important. I have a multimodal experience with light rail, heavy rail, paratransit, and ferry service, and that picture there shows me talking to the drivers and getting an earful of what we need to do to move forward, and I was letting them know our vision. A little bit about DDOT and facts. I think it's important that people understand that DDOT's pretty big. We have 23 million annually as far as ridership, and then 400K weekly. That's pre-COVID. We have a pretty large fleet of 288 buses, and that could grow after things start calming down. There's an opportunity to really move forward in that realm. 26 of the buses are 40-foot buses that are currently brought on board, and they're clean diesel. And I'll talk a little bit about the green footprint because I think that's very important moving forward in Detroit. And then we have routes, 43 fixed routes and 12 24-hour routes. Our technology is moving along. It was limping along. I've jump-started it, so our Wi-Fi is moving forward, and our goal is to have Wi-Fi on all the buses. We're not there yet. Mobile ticketing is on point, and our tracking system is in process. And I will tell you that our tracking system, we're using it internally. It looks fantastic. And when we move forward and introduce it, I think people are really going to be surprised. This just shows a quick shot of our DDOT system map. It really shows that we're the main vein of Detroit, and we're going to continue to be. The dark lines are the Connect 10 routes. Now, of course, everybody knows we have transit challenges. COVID-19 pandemic was the biggest one, and everybody did a great job jumping on board, and we're continuing it. Social distancing is a very big challenge because people don't realize it, but you can put 40 people on a bus typically. With social distancing, the way it's laid out before I came here, we're only letting 10 people on per bus. So you could imagine the challenge there, hence why there were some overcrowding issues, with people not willing to wait, and there were some service issues, but we fixed a lot of those. Safety was very important, and we cleaning these buses. I'm telling you, we clean them so much the paint's rubbing off them. But we're going to keep on cleaning, and there's one complaint we're not getting, and that's that the buses aren't clean. And then driver retention. You know, our bus operators, this has been difficult prior to my arrival, and then with the pandemic, it's even more of a challenge. And that's one of the reasons why in some areas we can't beef up the service the way we'd like to. So the challenges are right-sizing the major artery routes, updating shelters, bus amenities, transit centers, and of course our biggest one is back to school. I know a lot of the high school students are going to be online or going to school online, but there are a lot that aren't. I'm getting phone calls left and right. So we're trying to figure out how to get the right people on the bus. You have joy riders that are riding, and they're taking up a prime space for somebody that really needs to get to where they need to go. And that's one of our biggest challenges. So our external solutions to a lot of this, we increase service frequency on most in-demand routes to directly reflect our Monday through Friday schedule. We just actually started this. We really amped it up. We did it in the summertime, but we put a schedule together and we showed the union. And we started about 15 days ago. And I will tell you, from a complaint standpoint, our complaints went instantly from 16 a day down to 6. So I think we're doing something right. We need to take a look at that and take another look at how many people we can allow on the bus, because nationally people are using different numbers. We're going with 10 because of the very beginning of this issue, but now that we move forward, we may be able to move that. So for anybody that needs to know where the bus is, when is it going to be there, I made sure that it was put on www.detroitmi.gov/DDOT. In addition to the transit app, and we have the old-fashioned way. I know a lot of people are looking for it. We have pamphlets and everything, so everything's laid out for this run. In addition, all other lines are restored to consistent service. We're closely monitoring the service via road supervision, transit police dispatch, and the COVID-19 customer survey. And I'll talk about that a little later, because I think statistics are the way to go as far as figuring out what we're going to do, which is new here. Service will continue to increase as the drivers are available, and adjusting service according to the customer feedback, and again, data analysis and road supervision. And road supervision is really one of the key pieces that we've started focusing on, and I put it here. We increased communication between the passengers and the department, and we talked to the road supervisors and redid their scope as far as how do you behave and how do you make sure that the customer is happy during this pandemic. And we ensure quality service and prompt customer resolution. Of course, the mask requirement is huge, and we put across the exterior of the marquee, masks are required. In addition, we have put all types of signs up. We emphasized how important it is because you have to wear your mask. Then we put in the safety protocols that I talked about earlier: extensive bus cleaning, rear boarding, except for the ADA passengers, and then the suspension of collection of driver protection. And it was really not only for driver protection at the beginning, but it was for the riders, and we're going to have to address that as we put these barriers up, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Don't focus on the detail of this slide. I want you to see that this is something new that we're going to try. The road supervisors that I told you about, they're going to be linked into this portion of this document that we're going to be putting on the website. Zooming into that, the District 7 map I used as an example will show the DDOT compliance liaison. It'll have the road supervisor that's dedicated to that district, in this case District 7, and if there's an issue, that road supervisor owns that district, and each district will have one. They'll be able to respond to issues a lot faster, and when we're in public meetings, that road supervisor can be there to talk about the specifics that people have issues with. We're using data analytics. High trafficked routes, heavily boarded bus stops, and the highest travel times throughout the day are all put into a system based on counters that we have on the bus called automatic passenger counters. And we're utilizing that information to know specifically where we're having our overcrowding issue. Eventually, overcrowding won't be what we'll be focusing on, but we'll be focusing on trying to get more people on the bus, because typically that's what you want to do during normal times, but we're not there yet. And then customer service is going to be amped up. We are taking a hard look and revising how we do customer service. We're giving everybody the tools to do their job. And one of the big pieces, it's a little bit, not really a technical term, but we have clever devices. It's an actual operating system that everything is going to blend into. So we have technology upgrades, new operating system, hardware on 228 buses. The rest of the buses are part of the older fleet that will be moving out with the fleet replacement program. By the end of September, we will have all of this system in. What does that mean? Well, it'll improve announcement systems. It'll improve bus tracking. There's a lot of great stuff that it'll do, but it'll also improve customer service system and reduce response times to track customer feedback. And of course, coming soon, we've heard about one transit center, but we can't leave the other one out. Rosa Parks Transit Center, we're going to be doing some things there too. Internal and external LED signs displaying real-time departure information, interactive touch screens, kiosks with trip planning. It's going to be amazing. And we're going to keep upgrading what we have and then look forward to what we're going to get. And speaking of transit centers, our first move is a new $7 million state-of-the-art transit center to replace the current Woodward Ave location. That's not really a transit center, even though a lot of people call it transit center. The one that's going to be built is a transit center. We'll be talking more about that as it comes to fruition, so I'm going to just skip past that one. I'm really excited to be able to bring transit to that center, and we'll let you know the details as it comes. Electric buses. We were awarded $2.6 million, and we're bringing 2 electric buses on board. I think it's important that we focus on the green print, the green footprint of Detroit. I know it hasn't been a focus before, but I think it's important for us. It happens every place else. You have California, you have all these places, you have Boston. Why not Detroit? So we're purchasing 2 Proterra battery electric buses. We're going to see how they perform in the cold, and we're going to see how they perform in the snow. And if they perform, then maybe this will be the next era of buses. We'll see. We're going to partner with DTE and help install the infrastructure. And it is quite possible that we may put that infrastructure in the new transit center. So stay tuned. The V-Shield bus barriers, also known as sneeze guards, if you will, are going to be a division between the driver and the rider in order to protect both sides. The installation will be complete by Q1 2021, but I will tell you that we are pushing hard to get it done even faster than that. I personally like to get it done before Christmas, so I have an internal goal. But once we do, we'll have to look at fare collection to resume. I know a lot of people ask, well, are you going to continue charging fares? What are you going to do? It really depends on what we decide on the solution. We're looking at a lot of options right now, and our goal is to install the barriers and start charging fares, but we are not going to charge fares unless it's safe to do so. So ongoing initiatives, bus shelter replacement program, we have 180 bus shelters. We need to take a look at what we're going to do next. Before the end of the year, we'll be replacing 50 of them with ad shelters. We're really excited about that. You've probably seen them around. They look a little different. They're clear. They're really nice. We're getting a lot of great feedback. We're doing a lot of routing and service improvements. Contactless fare collection research. I mean, I've talked to so many people and so many solutions. I think we're going to end up with a short-term solution and then a long-term solution. And then we have other customer-focused amenities like LED signs, interactive schedule maps that we're working on. I think the public will be very pleased. So what about DDOT moving forward? What's the new vision? Well, we're not going to unveil it yet, but we are working diligently to create not only a new mission and a new vision, but a new strategic plan to figure out where are we going. Everybody's going to know where we're going. The goal is to have one document that you can hand to the public, all the way up to the mayor, to show this is where we are, and that same document you can hand to the driver to say, this is why I'm coming to work every day. That's the goal. That's what we're doing. We're working hard. Our goal is to position DDOT as a transit leader, to be customer focused. There's a lot of internal discussion right now to get to that point. And once we get to that point, you'll be able to see it externally. We want to build better partnerships with the stakeholders. I've run around and I've had so many meetings within a four-month period. I'm dizzy, but I'm not done. And I'm going to keep doing it to make sure that we have our finger on the pulse of Detroit and what Detroit needs. And last but not least, we need to enhance the paratransit experience. There hasn't been enough focus on that. The good news is that we have an RFP that is out on the street, or should be out on the street soon. I believe it was today. That's going to be a little different than the RFPs that have been out in the past. The focus is going to be on a lot of the issues that have been brought up over the years about paratransit, and they hopefully will be fixed in this next procurement of a new or same provider. It'll be a complete different look, a complete overhaul. It will contain the same operators of the city of Detroit and Detroiters, but there'll be more of a, there will be a lot of change as far as the service that people will get. They will see the difference, and we're pushing hard on that. And with that, Mr. Mayor, that concludes my presentation.
Okay, so I think you can see from that Hakeem Berry, who ran the national search, did a great job in bringing us a world-class transit director. Now, this is the point where we go to the questions. If you've done this before, you know how it works, but you raise your hand on your computer or press *9 on your phone, and when you come on, tell me your name and what neighborhood you live in. We're going to take questions till 8:30. And I would ask folks, please try to be succinct with your questions. I'd like to get through as many as we can. If somebody else has already asked your question, there's no reason to repeat it. And we do want to try to reach everybody. If you just want to give a speech, you'll be muted after 60 seconds, so you'll have to make your point relatively quickly. And I'd like you to please give a chance for the people from District 7 to ask their questions first, because this is their one time a year to be able to ask about questions in their neighborhood and then ask the other people to join in a little while. And with that, we'll take our first question. Okay, Carol, you're on. Where do you live?
Hi, this is Carol Pickens with Littlefield Community Association.
Okay.
And we are in 7. And just a couple of things real quick, Mr. Mayor. Hello.
Hello. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, you guys did our basketball court. It was fantastic.
Yeah, the Pistons are great partners, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. We're going to do a big, another event next year for the kids. But this is my question. Two things. First, we know that the city has a litter problem, and we've been talking about it for a couple of years with some other block clubs. So we've created a litter program that we believe will benefit the city.
Okay.
It's called Keeping It Clean in the D. And it's going to come in 3 phases. The first phase, we want to run it along with the Joe Louis Greenway project, where they'll see a campaign that we're going to run along the walking path as well as the alleyways. And that's to reach the adults. Then phase 2 next year, when the kids are back in school full time or more consistent, we're going to work with them. They will be, we'll bring them in, and they will create a litter program through them, and it'll run through their school, our local elementary middle school. And then phase 3 will be citywide, and we want to run it through all the other schools as well as the city. But we think it'll be a really big hit, using our youth. And then the second thing, just very quickly, we want to set up a meeting with you, Chief Craig, and Deputy Chief Bettison, to talk to you guys about our support for you, because we're hearing all this stuff on the news, but no one's really talking.
Okay, so Chief Craig will be very disappointed about the fact that his first supporting caller just got muted, but the chief is here, and Carol, he and Deputy Chief Bettison are here, and appreciate the sentiment. But you know what the Littlefield Block Club has done, and so many, you go around this city, and the places with active block club leadership just look dramatically better than the places that don't, and I just have such admiration for what your group has done. And of course, the Joe Louis Greenway, all of the neighborhoods who are touched it are aware of it, but I think it's going to be transformational. We'll be talking about it a lot more in the next year. Okay, who's next?
Next is Duggan.
Okay, Duggan is calling Duggan. Go ahead. This is my son.
You may go ahead. You are unmuted.
Hello? I didn't dial myself, did I? All right, no, I didn't. Okay, let's keep going.
Next is Doug.
Doug, you're on. Doug, can you hear us?
I believe so.
All right. Where do you live, Doug?
I live in District 5, Atkinson,
Which neighborhood?
between just next to Boston Edison, Atkinson Historical.
Oh, good. Okay. Go ahead. What's your question?
I have a question about Proposal N and long-term affordability. I'm concerned about the idea of investing that much money without a confirmed plan for making sure that people who live here today will be allowed to have a place in the future of the city.
Well, this is, I think, the beauty of Proposal N. Right now, if you live in one of these neighborhoods and you live next to an abandoned house, you go to sleep at night wondering if that house next to you is going to catch fire and spread to your house. We are going to start on the demolition program with the houses next to occupied houses. So no matter where you are in this city, we are going to take care of the houses near you. The second piece is this, that what we want to do is create more housing units in this city, not less. So if you have fewer housing units, people can be squeezed out. When you put 8,000 more housing units in place by renovating them, there's room for a whole lot of folks to move in without anybody being pushed out. As I said already, 70% of the people buying the houses from the land bank are from the city of Detroit. And we're going to have neighborhood by neighborhood targets. Right now, we're doing something we call block builders, where we put in 6 or 8 houses in a neighborhood, and we go to the neighbors, and the neighbors call their relatives, they call their friends, they say the houses are going up in our neighborhood, to try to invite people into the community. And so, this is a process we're going to have to continue to work on together, and the question is there more room in this city for everyone if these 8,000 houses are filled?
I'm really curious about how that would impact all of the people displaced by illegal overassessment.
Again, so anybody who dealt with the overassessment issue, there are a whole range of programs in that. We could talk about PAYS and all the other programs, and whether there will be preference given to those who owned houses between 2010 and 2015 is something we're talking to City Council about. I proposed to some of the council members that we should give a significant discount to people who owned houses during those years, and that's something that we'll see if council takes action on in the coming weeks. But the great thing about this is we're going to have a conversation for the next 9 weeks, and you'll be able to make a decision November 3rd whether you think the city is better or worse with Proposal N. All right, so thank you.
Okay, next just lowered their hand. Let's move to Bobby. Bobby, you are next.
Hello, this is Bobby Johnson with District 7. I'm over Franklin Park. Now, we've talked several times, but we've been doing a steering committee meeting, and I was promised a teen center. Now, when Maddie and Kat and all those guys come back, they tell us that over here we don't have enough money. You were supposed to come and visit my vice president at her house. We were supposed to discuss my teen center, and you guys were like 1800, 200 Joy Road. I was supposed to be getting this teen center. Now I'm hearing that the money is out and we're not getting a teen center.
So let's start with this. I never promised you a teen center. I cannot imagine, having raised 4 teenagers myself, any place teenagers are less likely to go than the building the government sets aside and tells them to go to. So I did not see that as a proposal that I thought had merit. On the other hand, your neighborhood is unique in that the neighborhood planning group has been led by high school students. They have been absolutely terrific in the design, and I have met with them. And we're talking about things like adding a skateboard park into the nearby park. We're talking about building a stage for poetry slams and the like. And so the conversations are ongoing.
And we were talking about a teen center too. Those-
You and I will not agree on whether people will go to a government-designated teen center. I understand that, but what I will say is this: the final plan will be done with significant input from the young people in that community. But don't say you were promised a teen center. Not one time when this teen center issue has come up have I indicated any support for this idea. I don't believe government can designate a teen center and have it be the place teens will go. I just don't believe it. You may disagree with me, but don't say you were promised it, because I've said from the beginning, that's not where I think we ought to be. On the other hand, we're listening very carefully to the young people on what they would like as part of that plan. Their input will be included in the plan, and then the community will decide whether the plan works or it doesn't work.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Next is Mamie.
Okay, Mamie, you're on.
Okay, this is Mamie Washington, and I live on Whitcomb Street. I'm in District 7, and the house at 8832 Whitcomb needs to be torn down. It's all open and everything. We cleaned up there Saturday before last. We cleaned around the building, and so they finally came and picked up the trash. 8824 Whitcomb, there's a house there at the corner. I don't know, I guess it's squatters that live there. I don't care about squatters living there, but they just need to clean up around the area.
So let me ask you this. Is this house boarded up?
No, it's not.
Okay, so let's get out tomorrow. Is Brad here or somebody from GSD? Okay, so let's get out tomorrow and board up that house, so we can at least get it boarded. The demolition money has been spent. So if we want to be able to demolish these houses, we've got to pass Proposal N on November 3rd. But there's no reason we can't get out and get it boarded up tomorrow, and we will be out to do that.
The only problem is half of the house has already fallen down.
Well, that's going to be harder to board up.
Right.
Okay, we'll go out and do what we can. But this is the reason why I'm asking for this bond issue. These houses won't demolish themselves. And the federal government did more than their share. But we're at a decision now as a community. Do we want to have the resources to address this? But we will secure the house as best we can tomorrow. And I hope you'll tell your neighbors that this is really an important priority to come out and vote.
Okay.
All right, thank you. But we'll be out tomorrow.
Next is Betty.
Okay, Betty, you're on.
Betty, please unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, I live on the Finkel Livernois area.
Okay.
I'm the president for DeSoto Ellsworth Black Association. We go by DEBA. We have a problem in our community with our bulk trash and our yard waste being picked up. And also there is a dumping problem at 7601 Finkel. It is a vacant building and they're dumping constantly behind the building. I talked to Mona. She's had that the debris picked up quite a few times, and it's clear for about a week, and then dumping starts all over again. So we need help if anybody's got any ideas, Mayor.
Okay, well, we're going to get out and get what's dumped there again in the short run. What we have done in a number of places where we have repeat dump sites is we put hidden cameras, and the police department have seized vehicles of an awful lot of dumpers in this town. Whether this one is dumped frequently enough to make that a standard, we'll take a look at that now. As far as issues with your pickup, if it's advanced, we are preparing a letter warning them that they are in breach of contract. We've got service problems with them across the west side. My patience has worn out with them, and they're going to be on notice shortly that if their service doesn't improve dramatically, we're going to exercise a breach of contract provisions.
Next is phone number ending in 872.
Okay, if your last three numbers of your phone are 872, you are on.
Hi, Mayor Duggan. This is Charlotte Blackwell from District 7. Happy Homes. How are you today?
Good, Ms. Blackwell, good to talk to you.
Yeah, I know. We've been raising hell over here. But
That's all right. Every time you raise hell, we make it a little bit better. Then you call me again.
Yes, that is true. That is true. I really appreciate and thank you all for all the work that you're doing over here to help us out. Just had a quick question.
Go ahead.
We have these marijuana distribution facilities.
Right.
They're trying to come over into our area, and we were just wondering if, what the process would be, because we put our letter of intent together, and what the process would be to submit that letter. Would it?
Do you want the facility?
The owner first.
So
I'm sorry.
Are you saying you want the facility?
No, we really don't.
Okay.
And they sent us a community benefits agreement, and it was it almost was disrespectful.
Okay.
So.
So I don't know, I don't see Dave Bell here. As far as the process, can you tell him about the process about how it works to cite a marijuana site? Go ahead.
So depending on the property, if it's a commercial or residential property, we would have to assess to see if they have all their license per the state and per the city. They have to be in compliance and they have to pull a permit for that. So if you can provide the address for me, I can check and see if they are in compliance with the city first.
So you'll get a call tomorrow and we'll take you through the details, whether they're properly zoned, what their process is. You can't get a recreational license if you don't have a medical license in the city of Detroit right now. You can't get a recreational license because the state process effectively excludes any Detroiters from getting a license, and we're taking the position that until the state changes that policy and allows Detroiters to get licenses too, we're not going to go along with it. So, but we will get you the details. We've got your name and number. We'll get you the details tomorrow on the process for the particular applicant you're talking about.
Okay, next is Piper.
Hello, Mayor. My name is Piper Carter. I'm in District 7 in the Barton McFarland neighborhood. I started Hartwell Block Club last year, not because I wanted to, but because we have no community center, no high school, minimal businesses, no hospital. We have about 10,000 people in our population. City planning sends most of District 7 money over to Cody Rouge, and Advanced has dumped us. I have pictures of several dumping of bulk sites all over my neighborhood, and I've been reporting them as well as my neighbors and also my district manager, Mona. Stuff that's been there since March, April.
Mona, have you got that stuff?
And it keeps, sorry?
I'm just asking Mona now because we're preparing our letter to go to Advanced right now. And I want to make sure we have your documents because I want to incorporate it in the letter. So Mona, do you have that?
Yes, I've sent them. I've sent the
Okay,
pictures.
she says she's got it. So we'll incorporate your material into our breach of contract notice.
Okay, just want to let Advance know that we want to dump them and get a company that respects Detroit residents.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the way you do. And so there's a process. Once we put them on notice they're in breach of contract, they have a period of time to cure that. If they cure it and improve their service, that's fine. But if they don't, then we're going to deal with it. But GFL on the other side of town is not getting anywhere near the complaints that we're getting out of Advanced, and I'm really fed up with it. I know you are too. So we're not going to back down. We'll get it dealt with. Okay, who's next?
Next is Danielle.
Okay, Danielle, you're up.
Mr. Mayor, this is Danielle Hilliker, the Executive Director of Joy Southfield CDC.
Okay, how are
Two
you?
questions. First question is, what are you doing specifically to coordinate efforts with the strategic neighborhood planning and proposal N, more specifically around safe and affordable housing? And then second question is, what planning is going on for business improvement along the Joy Road commercial corridor?
So I see Arthur Jemison is here. Is Arthur here? Who's running the strategic neighborhood process, and he'll answer your questions.
Thank you.
Well, good evening. Want to make sure I'm answering both your questions. The first one was about how do we anticipate that Proposal N will interact with affordability? I think, was that the question you were asking, in particular, how it might benefit the neighborhood that you're calling from? I think that the short answer, I have a lot of long answers, but the short answer is that if a person can get a rehab mortgage for a house that's been preserved through the methods that the mayor has described, that we're going to apply to approximately 8,000 houses, a $60,000 mortgage to rehabilitate a stabilized house that's already got about $15,000 worth of trashing out and stabilization would result in a monthly payment for a move-in ready house that is probably in the $600 or $700 range. And when you think about the cost of producing that unit being what I described, and the cost of producing a new affordable unit being, the numbers that we are beginning to see, providing a preserved house that can be rehabilitated with a small mortgage is one of the most cost-effective ways to provide an affordable house in our city. And so that's one of the ways that, it's one of the reasons that the policy decision was made to go from a 100% demo approach to an approach that will preserve houses and enable them to be rehabilitated. The second question, I think, had to do with commercial on Joy. And as I think has been referenced earlier today, we've been looking at Warren and Joy as part of a planning process, and we're sort of about halfway, 2/3 of the way through. The commercial district issue and the way we focus our money on commercial districts is something that I think we're getting close to finalizing. I'd be happy to talk to you more directly in person about it, but and make sure your input's being registered. But having a concentrated area, a concentrated micro district, or in some cases part of one and some other commercial improvements in another is the characteristic thing we've done in our district. So I'd love to sit down and talk with you personally about it. If I think I know you by your voice and name from other meetings we've been in, so I'd be happy to have a pull aside half hour or so and catch up on this issue.
And the short answer is that if you as a CDC want to take a number of these houses and rehab them and rent them out in an affordable way, it's one of the things we expect to do, is we expect to make partnerships with those kinds of nonprofits, because to move 8,000 houses is a lot, and we'd love to see our community development corporations in the neighborhoods take on a group at a time. Who's next?
Next is Jocelyn. Jocelyn is next. Jocelyn, you are unmuted.
I am in.
Good evening.
Great. Good evening. Yes, I am new to the Russell Woods neighborhood. I was introduced to the I think it was Layer 39, the podcast, talked about the SNF, what was coming to Russell Woods. And I was wondering, are we still on the same type of track or timeline?
Arthur, you might want to pull your chair up close. You're going to have more questions here. The answer is we are very much committed to a strategic neighborhood fund program near Russell Woods, and Arthur's going to tell you how it's going to work.
So good evening. I know you heard a few minutes ago and saw the presentation with the first phase, Usman Park. where we've got that underway, and we've got a few other proposed improvements for the Russell Woods neighborhood. We've had some, I mean, to give besides the park, to give a couple of examples, you know, when in all the neighborhood meetings we had, there was a real focus and a lot of questions asked about the Narden Park end to the south, where whereas Russell Woods has had more than one round of demolition and other the benefit of other kinds of investment, the southern part, Narden Park, hasn't had the same investment. So as we began to start implementing with Zussman, the rehab and the ready houses, the duplexes that we're focused on, I think down there on Broad Street, I may be getting the street wrong, we are expecting you to see real changes in your neighborhood over the next 12 months. One way that we can make sure that those changes are seen is the area to the south, Narden Park, would be a significant beneficiary of the demolitions and preservations that would be caused by Proposal N. As I think we showed in the last community meeting, there's about 500 houses that would be able to come down or be preserved. I mean, Narden Park's characterized by these great brick houses, a lot of them duplexes on some of the major cross streets. Some of those have to go. They're not preservable. Others are going to potentially rehabable. So I think Proposal N is going to be a critical way for us to really deliver the vision that we outlined in that neighborhood plan. I'll sit closer.
You can have that chair. And I'm going to stay with the Strategic Neighborhood Fund until we do something with the commercial district on Dexter, which I think has real potential. Who's next?
Next is Tyler. Tyler, you're next.
Tyler, you're up.
Hey, how's it going, Mayor? Tyler. I'm in Dexter Linwood, pretty much on the border of District 5 and 7. So actually, going off of what you were just talking about, I guess I just had a pretty basic question about sort of the status of that Dexter streetscape improvement, just given the sort of financial constraints around COVID and whatnot. I know that certain projects have been sort of pushed back or postponed or held up. So I was just wondering what the status of that was. And then another question related, I guess I was wondering if there's anything that the city could do or had plans to do about Davison, given that it constantly ranks amongst the most dangerous across pretty much any qualitative metric in terms of safety. That sort of stretch between 96 and where it becomes like a subterranean freeway. If there was anything that the city could do to like improve safety along that stretch, given that like if anybody's ever experienced it or seen anybody try to cross it, it's a nightmare. So
It is. Davison is a state road, and that's something that we are talking to MDOT about. If you look at what was happening now on Grand River between Southfield and Evergreen, the state is making significant investments to slow that traffic down with our support. And it's going to have to be the same kind of thing. You're absolutely right. They come up off of that freeway and they zip through there in a way that's really concerning. And so that's something we're going to have to partner with the state on. I know Ron Brundage in DPW is working on that. And the first question, Arthur, do we have a timeline on the Dexter project? Go ahead.
The fastest answer is what we have to do on Dexter is a little different than what we've done on, say, Kercheval. What we need to do is create a plan for the sort of inline retail stores that are there, so that when you're making the street improvement, you can also see that there's an impact being made in the at-grade retail bays that are on the street. We have to coordinate those things. We've been able to coordinate it even in places like McNichols to make it work. So until we get that part better cooked, we want to make sure that we're doing as you see when you go to the other districts, you've got the streetscape happening at the same time that improvements are being made in those retail bays. We have to bring those things together. So I think we had to push that out another year or so to make sure that we had the commercial district ready to happen in tandem.
Yeah. So we're going to have to work harder to get more stores into that strip. Of course, the group has done a great job with the Dexter Elmhurst Community Center where progress is being made. Folks opened a coffee shop down the street, which was really kind of anchoring that part of the community before COVID hit. But what we need to do is two things. You can't, at Dexter, just fix the street and have the businesses come in. We're going to have to line up some businesses to fill in some of those vacant lots. But the beauty of that is, though, that if you go to places like Livernois, they don't have enough parking. And they would give anything to have off-street parking on Livernois. We can, if we do this right in Dexter over time, is to build in the retail, but build in the off-street parking at the same time. And so I'm looking forward I'm going to hang with this till we get Dexter done, because I just think it has enormous potential. Yes?
Okay, next is phone number ending in 823.
Okay, if your last three digits of your phone are 823, you are up.
You are unmuted.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is Zanae Gibson. I live in historic Boston Edison, and I think that would be District 5.
Right.
Okay, congratulations on a successful Memorial Day at Belle Isle. That was fantastic.
Were you out there?
No, I didn't get a chance to make it. I did see it on television, and I'm a former ballroom dancer before all the dance clubs were closed, and lost quite a few friends to COVID as a result.
Yeah.
Commander Donna Faye Collins and I worked at the court together, and several other people that I knew from the dance community passed away as a result of COVID. But the memorial service was fantastic at Belle Isle. Saw it on television. It was great. Congratulations.
And if you or anybody else wants to, the pictures are still up through tomorrow, so you could drive through and see them and get a chance to see your friends. But thank you.
Great. Thank you. But
did you have a question? Did we lose her?
Still there.
You may have accidentally muted yourself.
Perhaps we should move on?
Okay.
Here she.
yes,
Oh, there you are. Okay, did you have a question? I didn't mean to cut you off.
yes, we have a problem, serious problem with speeding on Chicago Boulevard between Woodward and the Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
As well as trucks in the middle of the night, because we have signs posted, no trucks. So they opt to come during the middle of the night, and to hear trucks driving down the street at night with that 18-wheelers is...
Trucks are cutting down Chicago at night?
Yes, 12:30, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Where are they coming from, do you know?
From the Lodge Freeway and or Woodward to the Lodge Freeway.
So we got the chief here, and I'm not sure that he's an expert on Chicago right now, but I know he's going to be by tomorrow. So, Chief, why don't you come up and address this?
Good evening. How are you doing? Yeah, I've not heard that complaint. I'm unfamiliar with trucks coming off the lodge, unless the only thing I could think of when I heard the concern is maybe there's some freeway work being done. I know there has been that, but that may not be the issue. But in terms of speeders, that is a big priority for our department, speeders, drifters, drag racers. And I know that's not specific to your issue, but if anybody else is listening, we've run several details Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights. We've adjusted our hours to address it. And then, frankly, the feedback I'm starting to get now is that we're starting to make a dent in the work. So if you have a relationship, I think that's the 10th precinct, we can have the neighborhood police officer in that area follow up and put some special attention and address any kind of speeding that's occurring. Thank you.
If the 10th precinct can't pay attention in the evening and see who's taking the shortcuts on the truck traffic, so we'll follow up. So thank you.
Okay, next is call-in user 1, and they are unmuted.
Call-in user 1.
Hi, my name is Lenine Wade. I am in District 7, and I live in Paveway District. I have two questions for you. What are the plans for the Chrysler Fiat building that's located on Plymouth Road? And the second question is I live next door to 13722 Thornton. It is currently owned by the land bank, sold for $1,000. The buyer has apparently abandoned it. It has gone to the compliance officer and still nothing is happening. There's vermin living in the home, in the roof, under the fallen in concrete porch. And it's becoming a issue for me, so much so that I am ready to leave my home.
Did they do any
This has been
work
going
on
on
it?
for about 2 or 3 years now.
Did the buyer do any work on the house at all?
None.
Okay, I want to let Saskia Thompson take that up, and we're going to jump right on this.
Okay, thank
Hi.
you. And plans for the Chrysler Fiat building on Plymouth?
Okay, Mayor will answer that question in a second, but regarding the compliance issue, I have your contact information and the address of that house. I'll figure out where it is in the compliance pipeline. When somebody purchases a house and fails to renovate it, we take it back. It is something of a legal process that we have to work through, but in the meantime, we can definitely send an inspector out to check on the vermin and the other issues that you mentioned. So I will look into it at first thing in the morning and contact you and let you know what our course of action will be.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I've spent a great deal of time on the AMC former headquarters on Plymouth Road. Councilman Leland has also placed great emphasis on it. We've gotten a lot of the junk out of there, and we are working on a deal for somebody that hopefully will put in an auto-related use. That building can't be saved. It's going to have to come down. And so we're working on an agreement. I hope I get it done, that we get the building down and get a major employment center in there, but it's very much front burner right now.
Next is Duggan, and Duggan is unmuted.
Okay, let's try again. Okay, I think we can conclude somebody's messing with you.
Yep. Next is phone number ending in 635.
Okay, if your phone number ends in 635, you're up.
Hello, my name is Veronica Armstead. I am District 7, and I am the Bray Street Block Club president.
Okay.
And we have a home, 6388 Brace, which is an unoccupied home at the moment. It is boarded up, but there's nothing been going on with that home for the last 3 years. Now, recently, the front of the grass was cut, but the house is falling in. The backyard is out of control, and I was just wondering, what are the plans to do with homes that seem to be owned by somebody, if this house is still owned, but they're not doing anything with renovating the home?
So I'm going to guess that the grass was probably cut by the city, which we just roll through and cut anybody who hasn't cut their grass. But the answer is going to be this. Do you know if it's owned by a private owner or who owns it? The land bank owns it?
Somebody did buy it.
Land bank knows,
but
all
they
right.
stopped it.
Okay, so the property is owned by the land bank, I'm being told reliably by the staff. And so this would be a really good reason to tell your friends to vote yes on in, so I have the resources to deal with it. Is it boarded up right now?
Yes.
Okay, so there isn't really anything else we can do if we don't get the funds to address it. And so, but you live next door to it, which will make it a high priority under Proposal N, because the highest priority is going to go to houses that are next to people who are occupied, wherever you are in the city. And so I hope you'll tell your neighbors. But besides boarding it up, there's not a lot we can do right now. I wish I had a better answer for you than that.
Next is Noel.
Noel, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor. I have two questions. One being that I'm a longtime standing homeowner on the block, and
what neighborhood are you in?
District 7, stay on Santa Rosa.
Okay.
And this summer, I encountered an issue where I was doing some landscaping at my home and another home that I purchased. And from there, when I went to take some of the rubbish to the neighborhood dump site, I was kind of turned away because at the time there was a nonprofit organization doing another cleanup that was in downtown Detroit at the time, and they was doing some dumping there. And I thought that was that made me feel kind of awkward because I thought they would have talked to DPW, arranged to have a private dump site either on site at the dump yard or at wherever they was doing the cleanup at.
So which dump site were you going to?
The Davidson dump site.
Okay, yeah, I've been there.
And it just, I had to
But
leave.
there's room for everybody. They wouldn't let you in?
They let me in, but they wouldn't let me dump.
Oh, didn't we have like a whole bunch of dumpsters on the site?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I follow this. There were a bunch of dumpsters. You drove in. I know the really nice gentleman that works there, and he wouldn't let you put it in the dumpster.
He said, I have to turn you away because we have a private group that's doing some dumping.
Okay.
And
I'm not familiar with that. So what did you do?
I went back home, parked my truck in my driveway, kept it there until 2 days till I went back to have it dumped.
Okay. And then what happened? Did he let you dump that day?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I just went to Southfield at that time.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to be turned away.
Okay. So Ron Brundage is here. I have not heard of somebody reserving all of the dumpsters. I've dumped it at the Davison yard a couple of times, and there were enough there for everybody. So I don't have any explanation for why you were turned away, but I apologize for that. That shouldn't have happened.
All right. And second question is that on the same block, I'm trying to purchase a home that is owned by the land bank.
Okay.
And it's been purchased on the land bank. I've been inquiring for this for the past 2.5 years. They said it's occupied, but I know it's not occupied. And I'm trying to.
Okay, I'm going to let Saskia talk to you because if we're not selling it to you and it's not occupied, we should get that fixed. So let's see if we can fix it.
So yes, when a house is occupied, we don't actively list it for sale because we want to work with the occupant of that house. But if it's not occupied, we can send an inspector out and then move it into the sales process, so you would have access to that. So I will get the information from the Department of Neighborhoods to contact you, and we'll talk tomorrow about that issue.
So if you're right that it's not occupied, we should be able to move it pretty quickly. We are trying not to move on houses that are occupied and displacing people, particularly in the middle of COVID, even if they're squatters. But if nobody's there, we'll move on that. So thank you.
Next is Yasmin.
Yeah, Yasmin, you're up.
Hi, Mayor Duggan. This is actually Vicky Shaw. I'm the president of the Grand River Block Club. We're under Littlefield Association. Thank you so much for having us today. Before I ask my question, I do want to thank Chief Craig, Deputy Chief Bettison for having the Detroit Police, Wayne County Sheriff, and Michigan State Police assigned on Grand River and Oakman to stop the drifting and shooting that we've been experiencing on weekends. It's made a huge difference. So thank you so much for those efforts.
Yeah.
So the question is, so we've, our block club is newly formed.
So you're the president?
I am.
Did you have a competition for that spot?
I didn't.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. So thank you for doing that. I'll keep saying it over and over. The blocks that have formed block clubs come back faster. I see it every day in the city. So I'm glad you did that. So go ahead. What can we do to help you?
Thank you. So we have been working with Mona and Lawan regarding the demolition. So we know what to do about actual homes that need to be demolished. So we're good there. But we have some questions about the businesses. What's being done about businesses that are blighted? We've seen tickets.
Right.
But what's being done to bring in viable businesses to use these commercial properties in our area? They're standing vacant.
Well, if they're privately owned, we can't really do very much other than offer them to people who are interested in coming to town. If they're city-owned, they're on the city site, and we sell those all the time. And so you could have a conversation with Mona, and she could take you through property by property, each one of them, and let you know what the status is. And if you hear about somebody who's interested in moving into one of those, you know, Mona has a business manager who works for her that'll help facilitate that. But if you talk to Mona tomorrow, she can tell you who owns every one of those properties.
Next is Rochella.
Rochella, you are up.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
I stay in District 7, and I'm in that Narden Park subdivision.
Okay.
We really need Burlingame paved from Dexter to Livernois. It is terrible.
Ron, do you know offhand if Burlingame is on the list?
Okay, and it's another thing. I got a street light at that corner.
Okay, so Ron Brundage is here. He doesn't know offhand where Burlingame is as far as the pavement schedule, but he's going to call you tomorrow and let you know where it stands.
Okay, and the street light at that corner of Burlingame and Bellatier has been out for a couple of months.
Okay, have you used the Improve Detroit app?
Yes, I guess I'll call again and see.
No. So the Improve Detroit app, if you haven't done it, we're going to get on this anyway. It's Burlingame and what?
Burlingame and Bellatier.
Okay, so Hakeem, will you take care of that tomorrow? But there's an app you can get on your phone called Improve Detroit, and if you punch in where the burned out light is or the illegal dump site is, the folks will come out and do it without you having to wait on hold and leave messages. They'll give you a text message back as soon as you put in the request, and then they'll give you a communication when it's done. And more importantly, every week, every department gives me a full report on how fast they responded. The lighting department's pretty good about responding to this, but now that Hakeem Berry's on it, they're going to be even better. We'll get that light replaced. Did you have anything else? Did we lose her? Okay, who's next?
Next is phone number ending in 973.
Okay, 973. If that's your last three numbers, you're up.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Mayor. I think I have about a minute, correct?
Go ahead. We may run a few minutes long here. I want to try to get to everybody, but go ahead.
Yes, sir. I won't bother Chief Craig and Deputy Chief Edison. Thank you. They met with me a few weeks ago, so I want to thank them for that. I bothered them enough. But, Mr. Mayor, my concern...
Not bothering them. They work for you. Go ahead.
But they know what I'm saying. But I just, Mr. Mayor, the Deputy Mayor, Conrad Mallett, is there any way, and I know, it's your decision, that he can come to the Financial Review Commission? I wanted the residents to know, we keep talking about the land bank. Well, the reason we have the land bank is post-bankruptcy, which we're still under the bankruptcy because of this waiver with the state of Michigan. Also, Mr. Mayor, the mailboxes, I was in Washington, D.C. for the Get Your Knee Off My Neck, the protest.
Okay.
And I noticed Livernois have no mailboxes, and I was told near Henry Ford Health System that they were removing mailboxes. So we made a complaint to United States Inspector General, which he was on the hearing the other week with Senator Peters. But I want to know, has anyone said anything? Because when I was downtown D.C., they have mailboxes everywhere. So, as Black people, we are marginalized people, but we're fighters. So I wanted to know, has anyone you or anybody made any statements about the mailbox? We were told to write the United States Inspector General, which we will do that. We made some complaints. So, but we were told mailboxes are being removed. Do you know who's removed?
I had not heard that, although there's no doubt the president is not really anxious to see people from this community vote. And we'll have an announcement tomorrow with the Secretary of State and the clerk, Janice Winfrey, on a whole bunch of drop-off sites for ballots. But I have not heard this issue about mailboxes in Livernois. Has anybody else heard that? Okay, I'm going to have to look into that. That one's a new one on me. I spent a lot of time on Livernois, but I never noticed. I did not notice any being taken out. We got a number of people who live out that way. Have you guys seen that? So we're going to have to look into that. This is why we do these calls, is because we become alerted to things that we weren't aware of, but now we're going to go check it out.
Okay, next is Carrie.
Okay, Carrie, you are up.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much again for this call this evening. I am in the Grand River 96 neighborhood of District 7. I represent a place of refuge. We just moved from Oakland County the top of the year back in February into Wayne County. Here in this neighborhood on Burwood Street, I'm doing 18 new units and 7 rehabs. We're
Really?
community partners with the Detroit Land Bank.
Oh, good. I hadn't heard
And
about
so
this. That's great.
it's very new. We're still, we're just getting things going here in 2020 because of COVID. A lot of things have been on pause a little bit and navigating this landscape now. But with proposal in support of proposal in, and seeing that District 7 has so many of the homes that needs to be demoed, of course, it would be to our advantage as developers, as our nonprofit is, to have as many of those homes demolished as possible to be able to go in and build. How many of the homes will be demoed of the 2,100 in District 7? All
Well,
2,100? Or
I put the numbers up, so we're going to demolish 2,100 and we're going to renovate 1,200 in District 7.
Okay, awesome.
So no, we would love that. It's a little bit north of you. One pastor, Pastor Wilkerson, renovated 25 houses and leased them all out and transformed the Puritan Livernois area. And we are looking for partners who will take 5, 10, 15 homes, fix them up or build new, although it's pretty expensive to build new. But either way, but I'm excited to hear that you're building affordable housing in that neighborhood. Usually I keep on top of all the proposals, but I hadn't heard about yours, so thank you for calling.
Okay, next is Aaliyah.
Aaliyah, you are up.
You're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Good good evening, sir.
Evening.
This is Commissioner Alicia Bell.
Oh, Commissioner, how are you?
How are you?
Good.
Evening. First off, I just want to just commend Mona. She has been wonderful to work with. If there's ever an issue that I can't resolve on the county level, she's been absolutely there to help us on the city level. So I just want to commend her for her due diligence and her great work that she does for us in District 7. If you could please speak to the Detroit Water and Sewage Department project on Oakman Boulevard between Tyman and Joy Road. As you know, the bioswales are going up there to help alleviate some of the flooding that we get as we're getting this torrential rain on tonight as we speak. But that project is about a $5 million project. I just want you to speak briefly about how it's going to enhance the area with the flooding.
So I'm going to do even better than that. I'm going to let somebody who's knowledgeable speak on it, Gary Brown, and say hi to Mom for me.
I will. She's here as well at the house.
Thank you, Mayor. And Commissioner, thank you for bringing it up because it gives me an opportunity to really showcase a project that's going on in the city of Detroit. It's one of 5. The one that you're talking about at Oakman is not only going to replace sewers that when they back up, they cause water and basement complaints. So we're going to resolve that particular issue. We're replacing lead service lines along with adding new water mains in that particular area. So we're going to get rid of all the lead lines that are attached to those water mains. And most importantly, we've got this green infrastructure project. And I've argued for years that Detroit has this golden opportunity to be the greenest city in America because we control so much of the land. And this is a project in which we're going to put bioswales in. So essentially, it's raining right now. I just got a text from my wife telling me how hard it was raining in Northwest Detroit. So I'm sure it's raining on Oakman.
Very much so.
In the very near future, that water is going to work its way into these underground tanks. It will be held there until the rain event is over with, and we will be sending it to the wastewater treatment plant when there's not as much demand. And so it's a part of helping us with the requirements of our MDEQ permit that allows us to operate. But more importantly, it's going to give a lot of relief to the neighbors in that area who have seen flooding for many years. And that's the approach that we're taking. We're looking at the neighborhoods that are having the most water and basement complaints, and we're working on projects in those areas. And of course, we have 5 of them going on in the city of Detroit right now, and we're already in the planning stage for next year, next construction season, to begin with many more. So thank you for bringing the issue up so that I could talk about it, and we look forward to coming out to the neighborhoods in the future to talk about the projects that are planned, because we don't plan them in a vacuum, as you know. We meet with the neighborhood and find out exactly what they want, what they'll accept, what they won't accept, and make sure that when we put the project in, it's acceptable to the community. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Next is phone number ending in 803.
803, last 3 digits of your phone number. You're up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. This
Good
is
evening.
Marilyn Winfrey from the Northwest Community Black Club.
How are you, Marilyn? How have you been?
I'm great, and I wanted to say I'm now not so against Land Bank. They have repopulated my block.
I'm glad to hear it.
Really nice, but I have
Nobody wants you mad at them, I know that.
I have one house that was purchased from Land Bank, and the gentleman has done absolutely nothing. So I think I've worn my welcome out with the 2 runs. So who should I send my inquiry to now?
Okay. Well, Saskia Thompson is going to take care of this, and your reputation is such, I know she is going to make you happy. So hang on.
Okay.
Hi, again, I'm Saskia Thompson, Executive Director of the Land Bank Authority. If you have the address, I can figure out where it is in the compliance pipeline, and if they've done nothing, we can take action against them. So I'll call you tomorrow once I've had a chance to look up the property and figure out where it stands and discuss what the course of action will be next. Thank you.
All right. So that neighborhood has fought its way back, and we are going to support you on this. So you've done a terrific job over there. Thank you.
Next is Deshawn.
Deshawn, you are up.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Just fine.
Great. So this is Deshawn Shamoon with the Prairie Street Block Club, and I want to first thank you and your team, particularly Mona Ali, for the great support that she provides to our community. You guys have done a great job, and I agree with what you said, that block clubs come back faster. We are definitely proof of that. Since our block club has been formed, we had disease trees removed, we've had lighting corrected, our drains that were clogged have been cleared, as well as speed humps. And so we're very, very grateful to you all, and I want you to know that.
Good, thank you.
My question is concerning the demolitions and the repaving the sidewalks after the homes have been demolished. Approximately how long does it take to have the sidewalks repaved after, because you know the trucks oftentimes break up the sidewalk.
So how long has the house been down that you're waiting for?
It was demoed in March of this year.
Okay, so I'm going to have LaJuan Counts come up, and she's going to get the sidewalk replaced for you.
So typically, we have to wait until the weather changes in order to make those replacements take place. But I will definitely get the address form from the contact and make sure I contact you tomorrow so I can follow up to make sure that we get it taken care of.
Thank you. I have a second question, if I could, please, Mr. Mayor.
Sure can.
Okay. We did get a lot of the disease trees removed, which is really great. As a result, some of the residents are asking if we're able to get new trees planted. Is that an option, and how do we go about that?
I've lost track. Hakeem, are we planting trees? Go ahead. We have somebody who knows the answer. Come on up. Tell them your name and tell them how you're going to replace the trees.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. My name is Jamal Harrison from the General Services Department. I believe we've hit our quota for our tree planting this year, but I can definitely come on, take a look at it, and see what we can do for you. It's, you know, we always have things laying around, so I'm sure we can do something for you.
Brad Dick will be glad to know he took the day off and you told everybody in this town there are things laying around. All right, so apparently we've got a few trees. Who's next?
Next is Paula.
Okay, Paula, you're up.
Hi, Mayor Duggan. This is Paula Triletti from the West Outer Drive Civic Association and Friends of Rouge Park. And I would just like to thank you for all of the projects that are finally getting finished in Rouge Park. And also, I want to tell you that I think one of your most valuable employees is Mona Ali. She's always responsive to requests. She's constantly on the job. I don't know how she gets everything done that she gets done, but I just wanted to give her a shout out and say thank you.
Well, now I know why Mona wanted me to go past 8:30 and take the last of the calls. So, but she does a terrific job. Thank you for that. Who's next?
Next is Latricia.
Okay, Latricia, you are up.
Oh, great. Hi, Mayor Duggan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, I am the founder of Olive Seed, and I'm opening my business in District 5.
Okay.
To give you a little history, Olive Seed is a holistic wellness center, kitchen, and community space that will be opening in the Rivertown District.
Okay, where exactly are you going to be?
3179 Franklin Street,
Okay.
where the UPS store is, in that
All right.
building.
Oh, good for you. You're not too far from me. Go ahead.
Good. Well, I'm a Round 9 Motor City Match Cash awardee. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello Alice Grant awardee, and most recently I partnered with the Pistons program to provide the citizens of Detroit a virtual walking challenge. But my issue is that I'm losing grants left and right, most recently the Small Business Restart grant because my shop isn't open yet.
Okay.
I originally thought it was because of COVID or the workers being on furlough, but thanks to the assistance of Georgine at the city, I learned that it was because my contractor hadn't submitted my updated plans. So my question to you is, what is someone in my situation to do? I need the money, but because I'm not literally open, I don't meet the qualifications, but it's due to, you know, what I'm just recently found out, my contractor never submitted my updated plans.
So I think that one is so complicated. I'm going to give it to the deputy mayor. Conrad, it sounds like we have an issue that it's going to cross the lines of DEGC, which you happen to chair, in Motor City Match, and BSEED. And so Conrad Mall is going to call you in the morning, and he's the best lawyer I know, except for Lawrence Garcia, our corp counsel. And he'll help you work through it, all right?
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay, and you got to let us know. I want to be there for your opening.
Oh, I will definitely let you know.
All right, we'll follow up.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next is phone number ending in 422.
422, if that's the end. We're going to go to 845, so I'm going to try to get to everybody. 422, if that's your last three digits. You're up.
Hello.
Okay, good evening.
Yes. Hi. How you doing,
Good.
Mayor? I'm sorry to interrupt because you had District 1 the other day, but I just had to come on to discuss. We just had bulk day, and I don't know if the neighbors have moved or what, but they have left stuff out there, and a Vance for some reason left on the chair that it was an appliance. We're having, okay, I understand, like you say, we do need all this work on these houses and get things done, but how can we get anything done if we keep having trash around? And then they're not picking up these trees. Everybody is not tying up trees. It just don't make sense for our city to look like it is. In District 1, it is awful over here. Southfield Service Drive, it needs to be taken care of. We have a lot of issues and problems over here.
There's no question about it. Which one would you like me to take up first? Is there a particular site you want to get the trash off of? Did we lose her? Well, so we're getting to all the service drives right now. They ended
Hello?
up. Hey.
Hello?
So is there a particular address you want us to get out and get the trash on?
Yes, it's I just had my paper.
Okay, I tell you what, we're going to get you in.
It's on Ashton, and it's 20210 Ashton.
Okay, so Ron Brundage is going to get 20210 Ashton taken care of tomorrow. All of the service drives need work. but we got
Right.
stretched.
We need it's really to start. Them trees need to be cut down because there's so many trees. I mean, it's just. And then I don't understand if they letting the neighbors know once everything is cleaned up or you clear it up, they have to maintain it, because if they cut it and then they don't maintain it, it's gonna go right back the next year.
So let me ask you this. Are you active in your block club?
You said what now?
Are you active in your block club?
Yeah, I'm the president of my
The
block
president
club.
of your block club. All right.
Yeah.
So what we're finding is when we go in and clean stuff up, when the block club is strong, it tends to stay clean. It sounds like we need to work a little bit harder together. But in the meantime, we're going to get out and get that address taken care of. We're working on the service drives across the city. I can tell you about how spread we were on COVID and the grass cutting and everything else. But the service drives in this city we are attacking now. They look pretty lousy all over the city.
Mayor,
Go ahead. We're going to have to get to the rest.
Can I say this one thing? Okay, I am very active to my neighbor, and I give my neighbors, they got a whole list of how to put the bulk out. They
Right.
got a schedule for the whole year. I give them everything, but people just do not want to do right. And that's the problem in the city of Detroit. They don't want to do right. They think it's nothing. They can do whatever.
Yeah, it's, we are changing the physical appearance of this city, but it's what you're doing. It's people caring and people continuing to talk to their neighbors. Sometimes you have to tell your neighbor to cut their grass. Sometimes you have to tell your neighbor to take their trash can in. But over time, it's heading the right direction, and I hope you don't get discouraged. But in the meantime, we're going to get out and get you some help right away. Okay, who's next?
Next is Chris.
Hey, Chris, you are up.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Good. Where do you live?
I live in District 7.
Which neighborhood?
What is it? Grand River and Oakman area.
Okay.
Okay,
You've had some activity lately.
Oh, yes. So first of all, I want to tell you that your chief has did a great job of stopping these drifters over here. I mean, we were going through a hard time over here.
Yep.
So the chief and the deputy Bedison came out and spoke with us, and he promised that he was going to stay on top of it, and he stayed true to his word. So we want to say thank you. You have some great leadership in those two men. And of course, Davis, our commissioner, we want to thank them. And Mona Ali, she came out and saw us too. So that'll be the first thing. The second thing I want to say is it possible we could get some speed bumps over here on Cloverline between Fullerton and Grand River?
So the answer is we put in 1,200 speed humps this year. We made sure to get every school and park. Next year, we're going to put in a lot more. And Ron Brundage just made a note of Cloverlawn, but we need to put in a lot more speed humps in a lot more places. And we're going to be dramatically increasing the installation next year. And thank you. I agree with you on what you say about the police department. Think about what they've been dealing with this year. Between having to deal with these protesters every night, making sure they don't cause any problems, dealing with the spike in violence that every city in the country's hit, and then the drifters, the way, particularly in your neighborhood, but different parts of the city, but yours has been the worst. And they have managed, and of course the crowds we have downtown on the weekends, but they have managed to do a good job. I'm glad to say we got another 36 officers entering the police academy this month. We're continuing to see great recruitment into the police academy, and we're trying to bring in 35, 40 a month. And if we can just get these commanders in these precincts, the kind of staff they should have, we'll have more traffic patrol. And the answer to everything won't be speed humps. We'll have officers out enforcing the traffic laws, and that really is our next goal. Okay, we got time for two more. So who's up?
Next is Mrs. Price.
Mrs. Price, you are up.
How you doing, Mayor?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm from 7th District. I'm off of Vine Street.
Okay.
And it's a house, it's 7634 Patton. I keep getting with my other house. 7634 Vine Street, and it is total. I need them to at least could they board it up, and it's actually several houses on this street that's
Vonn, VONN?
Say it
Oh,
again, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Lawan Council is taking that down. We will get out on your block and we will board up anything that is open. And you know what I'm going to say. If you want to get it taken down, we need proposal N, but we will get out and
Yes,
board it up right away.
absolutely. And also, I've been trying to start a block club. I haven't got, they supposed to got back with me.
Really? Because Mona's entire performance review depends on how many block clubs she starts. I can't believe she was slow getting back to you, but I bet you get a phone call first thing in the morning.
Well, she told me the other representatives was going to get with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Mona's looking pretty embarrassed here right now, so I'm pretty sure
Oh,
you're
but
going to
it's
hear
not
from her.
her fault. She did get back with me.
It's too late. She's got to get you signed up. All right, I hope you become president of the block club.
Next is phone number ending in 511.
511, if that's your last three digits, you're up.
Hi. Hi, my name is Kyle. I live off of the Bart McFarland, District 7.
Uh-huh.
My question was, if the homes are privately owned but abandoned, is there a process to have these homes demolished?
There is. In fact, there is a process by which the Building and Safety Department gets an order to demolish from City Council. We've probably got 2,000 orders to demolish private houses right now that we don't have the funds to take down, that we need proposal N to pass. So yes, we can take them down if they're privately owned. It's a question of having the funds to do it. And if you talk, we can have Mona call you in the morning and we can tell you whether that particular address is already under the order or whether we need to get somebody out to do the inspection. All right, is there anybody else or have we gotten through everybody?
Three more.
Okay, three more. They're telling me stay and keep answering. All right, who's next?
Next is Harris LT.
Okay, Harris LP. You are
Hello,
up.
Mr. Mayor. This is Arthur Edge.
Oh, okay. So you're not working tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I'm on vacation this week, but
All right.
District 7 is in my district. I am the president of Far West Detroit Civic Association, which has 1,300 homes, which none of them need to be demolished.
Right, it's
I made
beautiful.
sure that happens.
Right.
Vice president of Friends of Rouge Park, and we're doing major things in there to make the park things happen in the park. There's a $27 million project that DWSD is going to be working on that's going to run alongside of my community that's going to make a great impact on the park and my community. So I hope that works well. I've been in numerous Zoom meetings with DWSD, with the Friends of Rouge Park and Far West Detroit Civic Association.
Well, Gary Brown's nodding his head yes, so I think he agrees with you.
Yes. So what I want to do today is just commend Mona for everything that she's doing and working with us to make things happen over here in Far West Detroit Civic Association. And also, I want to commend the chief and Deputy Chief Bedison for the things that they do, because I do a lot of things with them in making a difference in this city.
All right, well, enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Next is James.
Okay, James, you are up.
James, you are muted.
You gotta unmute yourself.
We'll move on to the.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Thank you for taking my question. I'm in the 9100 block of Prevost in District 7.
Mm-hmm.
You've already addressed one issue with the advanced disposal company.
Right.
Both Ray Solomon and Mona Ali had a very productive meeting yesterday, and I'm pleased with that. But there is a couple more things that we need to take a look at, because it's not only the trash pickup, which you can't get in and out of the street, but they've got semi trucks and stuff like that. So I got a suggestion. Okay, the suggestion is I think we need cameras on that street in the 9100 block, and I also think that the Chief Craig, if he could have some of his officers, because sometimes the emergency trucks can't even get up and down. So that's
Emergency, they can't get up and down. Why?
because there's so much trash in the middle of the street.
Really?
It's horrible.
So what's
You have
going on over there?
well, they'll be able to tell you. Mona
There's only one house on the block?
yes, it is. Okay.
You're not in the one house, are you?
Yes, I got the one house.
Okay.
But here's the other.
All right, you're convincing me on the camera.
Okay. Here's the other thing. Okay. I'm being brief. I thank you so much. Listen, with the tear down and rebuild of the Herman Gardens, those individuals that were the contractors over there, Mayor, they dumped in these big dump trucks. They got about a 40 or 50 of these big piles. Okay.
Well, I want to hear this. So don't cut them off. Go ahead.
They've got 40 or 50 piles of this dirt that we believe is toxic. They were supposed to have taken it out of the city. These are these huge dump trucks, okay? And they dumped them in the 9100 block.
They did this when?
Of Prevost. This goes back all the way to Darlene Brown. Every time I reported it,
I don't know who that is, but what year would that have been?
Darlene Brown was your previous ombuds person in the city of Detroit.
Okay, but what year?
Pardon?
What year?
This goes back about when they first started the project, about 10 years.
10 years. Okay, before my time. All right, I'm with you. So what would you like me to do now?
I would like for you to have that dirt tested and have them removed, have those piles removed. I believe it's toxic. Okay, and I'm going to be trying to do something about it myself.
All right, so Mona, let's follow up tomorrow. Let's check that out. All right, thank you. We'll see what we can do over there. Okay, last call of the night.
Last is 3394.
So your number ends in 3394.
Good evening, Mayor. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, and yourself. I have two questions. I have a land bank problem on 14801 Chicago Street.
Okay.
The guys they bought the house back. I've been doing my homework. June of 2019.
Right.
They hadn't did anything to the house until just last month. I understand the COVID, but what happened between the COVID part? But what they did do was not buy themselves a dumpster and put all the trash and debris on the side of the road on the side of the street where nobody's going to pick it up.
Okay, what's the address?
14801.
Okay, so we'll have the land bank compliance team out there tomorrow.
Okay, the second question is, I have a house that I want to purchase so I can make my neighborhood better.
Good.
14901, and they had 7 complaints with blight. The other thing is, the house is 8 years behind in taxes. Now, how did they get this far?
You'd have to ask the treasurer that, but I assume it means they're in a payment plan.
I don't know.
Okay, so anyway, if you...
They have abandoned the home. They haven't did anything in 8 years on this home.
You're saying the house is vacant?
Yep, it's vacant.
And privately owned?
And privately owned. He has.
We should look at that for a nap house. All right, let's see what we can do about that.
And I want to.
Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I want to purchase the property.
Okay, well, if it's a private owner, I can't make a private owner sell to somebody. But we'll see what we can do from an enforcement standpoint. All right. All right. Well, thank you all for the callers. We ran a little bit late, but we wanted to get to everybody. Last one of the year will be next Tuesday, District 2. And for those of you who want to listen to this again, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.